In a historic move, the White House has declared, any attack on Qatar is now an attack on the United States. Weeks after an Israeli strike in Doha killed a Qatari guard and Hamas operatives, President Trump has issued a sweeping pledge, promising diplomatic, economic, and even military action against any aggressor. The question now looms, how far will Washington go to protect its Gulf ally? The White House on October 1st published an executive order from President Donald Trump designating any armed attack on Qatar as a threat to the peace and security of the United States. The announcement comes weeks after an Israeli airstrike in Doha killed several lower-level members of Hamas and a Qatari security officer while failing to eliminate key Hamas leaders. The unprecedented strike on September 9th drew strong criticism from Qatar and raised alarm in Washington. In response, Trump moved swiftly to reassure Doha of America's commitment to its security, issuing a formal pledge that includes diplomatic, economic, and, if necessary, military action against any aggressor.
In the event of such an attack, the United States shall take all lawful and appropriate measures, including diplomatic, economic, and, if necessary, military, to defend the interests of the United States and of the state of Qatar, and to restore peace and stability.
The executive order underscores Qatar's strategic importance to the United States. Hosting a major American airbase and serving as a mediator in regional conflicts, Qatar has long been a key partner in Washington's Middle East policy. The order directs senior US officials to ensure a rapid and coordinated response to any foreign aggression against the state of Qatar.
The Secretary of War, in coordination with the Secretary of State and the Director of National Intelligence, shall maintain joint contingency planning with the state of Qatar to ensure a rapid and coordinated response to any foreign aggression against the state of Qatar. The Secretary of State shall reaffirm this assurance to the state of Qatar and coordinate with allies and partners to ensure complementary measures of support.
The timing of the order follows diplomatic efforts to repair relations after the Doha strike. Secretary of State Marco Rubio visited Qatar on September 16th to discuss the fallout, arriving a week after the attack and immediately after an emergency summit of Arab and Islamic leaders expressing solidarity with Doha. The executive order comes against the backdrop of escalating regional tension following Israel's strike in Doha, which targeted Hamas leaders involved in negotiating a US-backed ceasefire for Gaza. The operation killed several members of the Palestinian group's team, but failed to hit its primary targets and claimed the life of a Qatari security officer. On September 29th, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu formally apologized to Qatar in a joint call with Trump.
I want to assure you that Israel was targeting Hamas, not Qataris. It wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen. He wasn't our target.
The apology was received by Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Jassim Al Thani, who had labelled the strike cowardly and treacherous. The incident tested US influence in the region, placing Trump in the delicate position of balancing unwavering support for Israel with the protection of a key Gulf ally. Trump has emphasized the long-standing alliance between the US and Qatar, citing their close cooperation, shared interests, and the close relationship between our armed forces.
Over the years, the United States and the state of Qatar have been bound together by close cooperation, shared interests, and the close relationship between our armed forces. The state of Qatar has hosted United States forces, enabled critical security operations, and stood as a steadfast ally in pursuit of peace, stability, and prosperity, both in the Middle East and abroad, including as a mediator that has assisted the United States' attempts to resolve significant regional and global conflicts.
He stressed Qatar's role in mediating regional and global conflicts and called it a steadfast ally in pursuit of peace, stability, and prosperity. The executive order raises the critical question. Could the United States act against Israel if another strike occurs in Qatar? While the order stops short of naming Israel, the explicit language warning that any attack on Qatari territory, sovereignty, or critical infrastructure constitutes a direct threat to US security suggests a willingness to escalate militarily if Doha is targeted again. Analysts note the complexity of US obligations. Israel remains a close ally, receiving unwavering American support. But the Doha strike demonstrated the risks of unilateral operations that endanger regional partners. The White House is walking a tightrope, signaling deterrence to future aggressors while avoiding a confrontation with Tel Aviv.
In recognition of this history, and in light of the continuing threats to the state of Qatar posed by foreign aggression, it is the policy of the United States to guarantee the security and territorial integrity of the state of Qatar against external attack.
The strike also highlights the evolving nature of US involvement in Middle East conflicts. By formally tying Qatar's security to American interests, Trump is expanding the scope of US commitments in the Gulf and sending a clear warning to both state and non-state actors. Aggression against Qatar will have consequences. At the same time, the executive order is part of a broader strategy to stabilize the region and bolster Trump's plan for ending the Gaza conflict, which Doha has publicly praised. The order explicitly calls for rapid coordination in response to any aggression, signaling that Washington will leverage diplomatic, economic, and military tools to protect its ally. For now, both Israel and Qatar appear to have accepted Washington's intervention as a framework for accountability. Yet, the potential for further escalation remains, leaving open the question of how far the US is willing to go to enforce this pledge, and whether it could include measures against Israel should another strike occur. As tensions simmer, the executive order illustrates the delicate balance the United States must maintain, protecting allies, deterring aggression, and managing the complex web of relationships in the Middle East, all under the watchful eye of global scrutiny.